And now, introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
Well, we feel very badly, but those great people, those great patriots were out there fighting that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Iran has been very, very badly damaged. They've lost everything almost militarily. They've got very little left. They've got some missiles. They've got some drones. They've got some manufacturing ability, not much. We control the strait. They don't control anything. So we'll see what happens. But we hit them very hard again tonight. And we did that in honor of the probably three. It's probably three.
Probably four, the number of service members dead over the weekend. Friday, 2 in Jordan, 3 in Jordan, and then 1 in Iraq in a controlled detonation of a drone, it was reported. Welcome into Wake Up Missouri. Good morning. I'm Randy Tobler, Stephanie Bell along with John and Drake. And, don't take a look at the gas prices. They're on their way up because escalating tensions in the Middle East and attacks by Iran and all their neighbors and more of our attacks on more infrastructure and ports and supplies are going on, of course, as we speak over in Iran. So lots happening today. There were plenty of strikes on the goalie of the Argentinians yesterday. The guy, I watched the whole game. It was fascinating. It was not a matter of if, it was when is Spain going to win that game. And
they didn't score until, the second period of the, what do you call that, overtime?
Were you like me, though? It was like, come on, this is going to be a blowout. They just were hammering Argentina.
Well, and Argentina got a red card, so they were down in most of the overtime, so it felt like it was inevitable.
But I have an idea for who should be calling the Kansas City Chiefs games this year. I'd like to see this guy call the Kansas City Chiefs games this year. I think it would bring renewed vigor into the stadium.
Para Lamin. Toque atrás, Porro la pone al área, al cabezazo atrás, queda el rebote, gol, Ferran, gol.
When Mahomes throws his first touchdown pass to Kelsey. That goes on for nearly 50 seconds.
That is the worst radio I've ever heard. You and John trying to talk over that. That was awful from the producer's standpoint.
I just thought,
pretty good.
It is hilarious. I should have turned down the sound while we talked. You're right.
I could see your lips moving, but I couldn't hear what you've been saying.
It was hilarious. Well, when Butker kicks his first field goal, or when Mahomes makes that first connection with Kelsey in the end zone.
There you go.
I wonder what interception is in Spanish. He'll be saying a lot of that this season.
Oh, come on. What a party pooper you are. Come on.
I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback, but he's facing, some good defenses like the Buffalo Bills, best secondary in the league. So, watch out. Thanksgiving's coming.
Well, international affairs all in the news. Donald Trump getting angry at the Canadians because their wildfires are poisoning our air, he says. That's also going on. We haven't had any in Missouri, have we? I don't think so. It's been mainly, Michigan, Ohio, Northeast for the most part?
Pretty much.
But he's angry, and you know what he's doing now? Again, he's saying the T word.
Fires from coming in and, poisoning our air. Our air has been poisoned. I have a good relationship with Mark Carney, but, we got to stop the fires up there. If we can help them, we'll help them. But maybe they should pay us some damages or something, or we should do some tariffs.
Everything is in financial terms with him, right? It's like, how can I sue them? Let's get some damages out of this. Tariffs,
what else is he going to do? You can't vacuum up the sky, and it's affected the whole East Coast and flights, and it's terrible.
You just don't hear it's just funny how his worldview, everything's about money, and which is fine. That's what is largely going to drive the upcoming election.
I don't know. It's about money. It's about consequences and holding people accountable. If you're going to smog up our whole country, we're going to do something back to you.
Yeah, but I don't hear other presidents talk about tariffs and
no one else is getting
reparations.
Full of smog or
no,
whatever.
But it happened before him. It happened other times. We've had other times.
Knowing Donald Trump, I'm amazed he didn't propose the development of a giant line of fans across the U.S.-Canadian border to just blow it all back into Canada.
That seems fair.
I'm sure he'll have his lawyers talking to their lawyers and figure it out. And then I love it. I have a great relationship with Mark Carney. No, you don't. You can't stand his guts. He has a great relationship with everyone, as long as he's making a deal. I get a kick out of this guy. He has a great relationship till he doesn't.
What's up with Mark Carney's name? Like, Carney is like what clowns and like people who work in the circus are, right? I'm not mistaken in that, right?
Well, no, I don't.
Carney's? Like,
C-A-R.
that's
The
like,
guys who run the county fair, the guys who run the rides.
yeah, so Canada literally elected a clown, right? Can we get there? Is that a logical jump, or am I pushing it?
I think, I don't know. Is it spelled the same way? I don't think it is. I'll have to look at it and see.
I don't know. We've had a rash of political candidates try to like change their name or use a different name, and I think I would rather you just use the name you were given. Except if you're, maybe I would consider changing my name if it was Anthony Weiner.
That's true.
I might have changed my last name before I ran for political office, but
and behaved.
Yeah.
There you go, John.
And Starmer is out. Keir Starmer is out. Resigned this morning over in England. And this guy, Andy Burnham, who was the former mayor of Manchester, apparently he's to the left of Starmer. So he's going to double down on socialism when the Democrat Socialists of America, the Communists of America, who want to... Did you see their platform came out? I mean, my God. I perused it for a little while. I couldn't believe it. Abolish the Senate. No bail. Pack the courts. So the UK is doubling down on more socialism. United States heading towards socialism in one party and in certain jurisdictions. And that'll flow through to local economies and some state policies. It'll happen. It's already in California. So what is it that's driving that? I keep wondering, what is it that's driving that? I mean, when I was a kid, the age of the kids these days that are out in the streets claiming that, they're fighting for socialism and they're putting on their masks and throwing bottles at the cops and wearing all the Palestinian garb.
If it makes you feel better.
I couldn't make ends meet. It was really tough. I had to work a couple of jobs to pay the bills as a kid and pay my car expenses and stuff like that. And I don't remember wanting to have socialism come into the country. I don't get it.
If it makes you feel better, if I'm like on a date with a girl and like she's like, oh, sorry, I got to leave early to go to this protest.
Yeah.
It's usually a pretty big red flag or turn off for most people in my generation.
Think so.
I think that it's just a subsect of, losers and Gen Z.
I think it's a really...
Which we should not base all of Gen Z off of, Stephanie.
So it's
we've always had extremists, right? Yeah. Even when you were younger, many years ago. But they had that's always been part of our culture. And I think what we heard from David Tyson Smith, who is an elected Democrat in Missouri, is that regular, quote unquote, regular Democrats are not on board with the DSA.
He did sort of chuckle when I asked him if he's going to join the DSA party.
Yeah, but I think, they don't have... I think we're increasingly becoming connected to our national party. Our national party, especially in the age of Trump, is increasingly kind of dictating your policy platform. And so I think Democrats are at a real crossroads because they are seeing some wins with these DSA candidates, and they haven't really... No one has emerged as kind of the leader of the Democrat Party right now. We don't really know who is going to run for president. And, if they get somebody like AOC or one of these crazy people, we could see the entire party shift to the left. And then I think it's going to be really hard for people like David Tyson Smith to just chuckle at it.
Well, that's true. I mean, I think there will be, as Ronald Reagan said in that famous speech, a time for choosing, won't there? I mean, I think it'll be an easy choice. You're right, Stephanie. If it's in a blue, indigo blue, precinct or state office or even, like a congressional office, I get it. That's easy. If you're in Minneapolis, I sort of see that.
Hey, Gavin Newsom's been pretty darn socialist in his run as governor of California. So,
And look how that's gone for California.
Exactly.
But yet he's among the leaderboard for the 28 race, right? So the party apparatchiks must think there's something there. Oh, and John, heard you got all excited that Madonna was on the halftime of the FIFA game. Did you get excited over that?
I did.
Yeah.
Boy, that was, I set my wake-up alarm.
Yeah.
Since the match kind of put me to sleep. That's what I'm getting at.
And who was the gal doing the belly dance? Who was this gal doing the...
Shakira.
Oh, is that Shakira? Okay, I didn't know, doing the belly dance. And then...
doing the belly dance. Oh, my gosh. No. That's...
Hips don't lie.
Yeah.
Sort of looks like a belly dance to me. And then Justin Bieber was there? Yeah. And who was the guy along with Shakira? He had more subtle, more nuanced moves, but he moved good. Was there a rap guy? Black guy? He was good.
I try not to pay attention to the celebrities and the whatever. I had a lot of chores to do yesterday, so I took advantage of.
You didn't watch that?
That's a lie and a half. You don't take advantage of, looking at the celebrities?
No,
Isn't that,
I don't.
your thing?
No.
Oh.
If it would have been Morgan Wallen, should have watched.
Perhaps. If they would have done an alternative country music halftime show, I would have watched it.
Okay, that's just BS straight out of the gates. No, I mean, Shakira is so much better than Morgan
She was
Wallen
good.
or whoever else. She's got some hits.
Some hips, did you say?
They even had Coldplay.
hits. I'm sorry, I
You're
heard that.
smiling at me.
Yeah, Coldplay was on the post game end of it, and they had to kill the kiss cam, so nobody
they
got in
killed
trouble.
the kiss
right?
cam, yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, I thought it was a well-done event. I'm still not sure about this added time thing. I'd like the game to be over when the game's over. I don't understand this mystery added time in soccer, but whatever. It is what it is. All right, well, when we come back, let's check in what's going on with Stephanie and the Daily DC Rundown. By the way, John Martin joins us, Representative John Martin at 7:35. And before that, Tanya Powers at 7:05 to talk about the data center issue. Watch out, that'll get Stephanie worked up. Listen for that one. Be back.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
To come after 3 U.S. service members were killed by an Iranian ballistic missile attack in Jordan on Friday. A fourth soldier was killed in northern Iraq during a controlled detonation of an unexploded Iranian drone.
It's time for the Daily DC Rundown with Stephanie Bell.
Well, tensions are heating up after we lost additional service members. Our prayers are with their families. And Trump, sometimes I think you describe him as frustrated. I think he's more than frustrated now. And he is continuing to strike Iran. Although, now that Khamenei has been buried, that was kind of sitting there as at least a symbolic obstacle to negotiations, and Trump hasn't ruled out diplomacy negotiations with Iran. But I think a lot of the American people are looking at that first MOU and saying, I don't want to negotiate anymore. Just keep striking them. And I think Iran has now publicly stated that, the MOU is
suspended, I think was their word. But it's time for less talking and more action, huh?
I think that's right. Yeah. It's also a busy week on Capitol Hill. We've got Congress returning. They've got just a few days before recess. They've got to do budget reconciliation, government funding, the immigration legislation's on the table, and potential sanctions for both Russia and Iran. Of course, we have a new sheriff in town with Senator Ron Johnson stepping into the role of Senate Budget Chair at a pretty critical moment for Congress. So a lot going on in D.C. this week. We've also got some data out about the housing market. Existing home sales unexpectedly fell 2.4% in June. Get this, the median home price reached a record $440,600.
Median home price?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's nationwide. And luckily here in Missouri, we enjoy slightly lower prices, but not much. It's been insane. So mortgage rates climbed again following Middle East tensions, and economists are now lowering their expectations, their forecast for 2026 for housing. Yeah, it's tough out there. That and gas prices as we head into the midterms doesn't paint a very pretty picture. We've also got Democrats already looking toward 2028. AOC was campaigning in Michigan, trying to avoid controversial topics, but not without saying some pretty silly stuff. I'm sure we'll get into that a bit later. And she's declined to rule out a 2028 presidential run. Wouldn't that be a gift to all of us, Randy?
Indeed. Maybe, her and maybe Mamdani running second, or one and two, however they line up.
Goodness.
That would be awesome.
I can't imagine sitting here, a year and a half or whatever from today and just having her be the candidate and her on primetime TV every day. It would be truly a gift. Also, we're still in primary season. Arizona voters head to the polls Tuesday in several closely watched primaries. They've got the governor primary and some House races. So continuing to watch those and see how
that'll be interesting.
Shape up.
Isn't Gallegos in trouble for having some relationship with staff down there? Senator Gallegos.
Yeah, because he was asked about
he
was asked about Swalwell and was like, "Have you ever had any relationship?" Because those two were like big buddies. Have you ever? And he no. And now it's come out. I think it was the Post that came out and said actually he definitely had at least 2 relationships with staffers.
So do you think that kind of a thing can have sort of a negative coattails effect on the brand? If you're an independent voter or something and you look at that and you say, man, my Democrat senator is, wow, look at him. What a hypocrite, and liar, and himself has some ethical problems. I got to think about that party and the people that they endorse and elect, or not.
I don't know nationally, but I think maybe more localized.
That's what I mean. Arizona.
Oftentimes what you see is, your top candidates coming in to be at rallies and other things and fire people up about some of those down ballot races. It's hard to do that when your top people aren't perceived well by the people.
Hey, Ruben, will you unendorse me, please? There's Stephanie with the Daily DC Rundown. Hey, if you like big boy steam locomotives, we've got something for you. Stay tuned. Happy Monday. You're with Wake Up Missouri. I'm Randy Tobler. Stephanie Bell there, and John and Drake. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm excited about a big, old, last of a era steam train coming through Missouri.
You know, trains, being interested in trains does usually. That's like the stereotypical thing for, you know.
We loved Thomas the Train in our house, and we had a train table, and we played trains all the time when the kids were
We
young.
had Brio, you know, people love playing the Brio with the little wooden train thing. Yeah.
I don't know. I think trains get a bad rap. I mean, yeah, sure, there are some people who are like obsessive over them, but I mean, they're just fine. I think if you're like, you know, if the autistic people, if they have to like go into one specific like different automation, they got to go into planes. That's where it's at, man.
Planes?
So much cooler.
I don't think so. Have you ever been to Union Station and they've got that giant room full of the model trains? I could spend hours in there. I think it's so fun.
Cars are so much cooler than trains. Trains go forward or backward on the track. That's not fun. That's, you know where they're going. It's just.
Yeah, but you have to drive a car, and that's why, I mean, even as an adult, if I can schedule a train trip, I've got another one coming up here not too long from now.
Then take a bus.
You just did one, didn't you?
Yeah.
We used to do that to Herman.
Oh, yeah, I love the Amtrak. I've ridden them out in Colorado. I mean, I
like the train.
I think you get to, it's relaxing. You can
Good
have
sober chauffeur.
Yeah, you can have a snack. You can have a drink. You can look out the window. You can work. I love a train ride.
I don't know. The lost art of hoboing, like, you know, getting on the train and just going to wherever it goes, that's gone. And so I don't think trains are that useful anymore.
And also,
That's
they are relaxing. I used to live close enough there in Jefferson City that I could hear the trains at night, and I loved being able to just. It's kind of like its own sound machine.
It's got its own rhythm to it. Yeah.
Yeah, they're only about track's only about a half mile from my house, so we hear them.
Yeah.
Hear them when you want to hear them, and you hear them when you don't want to hear them.
Back when I lived in Chamois, it would shake our bedroom every time a train went by.
Yep.
So.
I can understand. So you have a little PTSD over that. Well, the big boy Union Pacific steam engine will be chugging into Missouri apparently today in Jefferson City. Now, apparently it's going to spend the night, leave early tomorrow morning. That's the latest we have from the Missouri State
It's swinging
Archive.
into Herman at 2:15 this afternoon for a quick stop there.
Okay.
Then it's going to overnight in Jefferson City, and they say no public access.
Oh.
Then they'll make a quick stop tomorrow morning in California, Missouri.
Now,
Well, that's interesting.
The last time it was in town was August 30th of 2021.
It's
and
pretty impressive.
They say it's only one of 8 big boys still in existence today. So it's pretty rare.
It's just cool. I still have a bunch of the old Lionel trains, you know, with the big, heavy cast iron locomotives and stuff.
The gauge ones,
yes,
the great big ones?
Yep, and I'm threatening to put together a big board. The best I've been able to muster with the grandkids is the plastic, you know, Polar Express, whatever that goes around the tree.
You know where it is, Randy. You know where you get your kids interested? It's Lego. Lego trains.
No.
Yes.
Too expensive of a hobby. No.
That might be true, but in my little Lego city, I really want to put like a whole full train system that runs through my city. That's one thing I really want.
I don't know. Things like Lego and puzzles and stuff, I appreciate them. I really do. I like things that move. I like
trains,
model airplanes, model rockets, trains. I like things that move. I like moving.
So this is where
Rock
it gets
tumblers.
expensive.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, rock tumblers.
Yeah.
With the Lego trains, you can put an engine in it and it will run automatically. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Boom.
Wow.
But trains are cool. So it's going to be in Jeff City today.
No, to be overnighting in Jefferson City, but there's no public access. But 2 o'clock or so this afternoon in Herman, and then 10 o'clock tomorrow morning in California.
Yeah. And you know what? To expand on that theme, if you really enjoy the history of transport and how it's really helped build this country with the Western expansion and so forth, the National Museum of Transport in St. Louis is a great place to go and take a day trip.
Yeah, you want to see some trains?
Yeah.
They've got plenty of trains.
It is something. It is really something there. Yeah. Well, I wonder if Mamdani is going to give Netanyahu a train pass back to Israel if he tries to show up in New York City.
That could be quite the affair. If he sends out the NYPD, presumably to arrest Netanyahu, I think the Israeli Secret Service personal security detail would have a real problem with that.
Do you feel a conflict coming on? I mean, Bibi's going to be coming to the United Nations, correct?
He does
or he's scheduled
every
to be.
year. Yeah, and he says he is.
And I guess he's tried, he's thinking about that. I don't know. Do you think that he would really pull that card? I just don't know.
Well, he said, there's, war crimes charges by the World Tribunal filed against, Netanyahu. And he says, he said just the other day that he has every intention, if he comes to New York, they'll arrest him. So let us know how that works out.
I'm with Fetterman. Fetterman called the proposal clown behavior and said Mamdani lacks the authority to arrest a foreign leader. I mean, this is just, there is a lot of misinformation going around, and this is just pushing that same misinformation.
And maybe, just maybe, that will push Fetterman closer to the edge of flipping.
Thoughts here on Mamdani threatening to arrest Benjamin Netanyahu if he comes to the U.S.?
What is such a tough guy to say that kind of thing. He has no way to do that. Of course, obviously, America's not even part of that corrupt court. And so he's just a clown to even say that. So he won't try that. And I'll just sit down and focus on the problems that they have in New York. That's really not your purview. You and I know that. Sit down.
Yeah. Well, you talk about an everyman, relatable politician.
Plain spoken, yes.
Fetterman in his own way. And then he was on with Jake Tapper. Listen to this. Not Jake Tapper. What's his name on CNN?
And if that becomes the Democratic platform, that we will now ever vote for any aid and we'll turn our back on Israel, then that makes me to make that decision as really what a Democrat should stand for, or being a part of my party for me. Now, Jake, I've said this, that if I changed my party spontaneously right now, my views and my votes aren't going to change. It's really more of a statement and if you look at the kind of people that are winning our primaries, that if I changed my party spontaneously.
Did he say that? Did he really say that to Jake Tapper?
Right now, my views and my votes aren't going to change.
Sounds kind of like he's thought about it.
Yeah. I wonder if he tunes in. We've been urging him. I don't know, though. Would that be the same as rich Democrat New Yorkers moving to Missouri or to Tennessee or to Texas or to Florida and diluting the purity of our redness? If
yes,
Fetterman, would 100%. He dilute the purity of the...
He should not be a Republican.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But I could see him being an independent.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe
like a Lieberman type?
I mean, I think John Fetterman's like I don't know that you could really compare him to anyone else at this point. But certainly I think you can say that he no longer seems to be fitting in the scope of where Democrats are today.
Yeah, but isn't his whole shtick, like why we praise him so much, is that he's a Democrat that makes sense? Isn't that so if he becomes a Republican, then he's just every other senator and there's nothing real special about him?
You're right. I mean, I think he realizes the traditional guardrails of the Democrat Party, right? I mean, he's more of a traditional, I don't know that he's a blue dog Democrat, but he's more like a just traditional.
Can you call him
liberal
a populist Democrat?
Yeah, but not to the point that he's socialist populist, because there's two-way populism goes, right? But you're right. I mean, he does have that appeal, that populist appeal.
He's an economic populist.
Yeah.
How about that?
And I wonder if this whole move towards his angst with the Democrats is really a single issue. Is it really just about Israel, Netanyahu, anti-Semitism? Because what else has he really split big ranks with them on? You hear a lot about that, at least recently.
He was really big on supporting closing down the border.
Well, that's true. True.
That was one they didn't appreciate from him, and he was right out in front of that one.
And he's kind of bucked the party where they've had members with bad behavior. He's usually one of the first to say, Graham Plattner's a bad dude, or so-and-so should be held accountable.
Well, his big thing was, if we remember, he talked about sort of when he started getting into this sort of more moderate view, where he talked about the big tent Democratic Party where, they should be just an overseeing venture, but they're alienating the working class and they're alienating male voters was a big take of Fetterman's.
The other interesting thing is, they have a joint political action committee, he and McCormick, the Republican senator from Pennsylvania. To me, that seems like really unprecedented. Maybe it isn't, but.
Well, regardless of whether we add John Fetterman to our ranks, we added another Republican yesterday.
Where?
Well, J.D. Vance and Usho.
Oh, look at you.
Welcome.
Look at you.
Alec Neil Vance.
Only the second sitting.
Tent.
What would that be? The vice president of the United? Would that be POTUS? No, the FLOTUS? The VLOTUS?
He's the first child born to a sitting U.S. vice president in more than 150 years.
Yeah.
And they welcome him alongside other babies 9, 6, 4, and now 0. That's a lot. That's a busy household. Although the 9-year-old's probably helpful at this point.
So if the first lady is FLOTUS, is the second lady SLOTUS? The second lady of the United States? Would that be SLOTUS, baby?
I don't know if they've
I think so.
officially call her that.
We got
Yep,
SLOTUS,
they do.
FLOTUS, SCOTUS, POTUS.
What about the V FLOTUS? Wouldn't she be the V FLOTUS?
Well, but if FLOTUS is first lady of the United States, then second lady would be, right? SL.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, I don't know. But you're right. I thought VLOTUS.
Well,
Or
and
Mrs. Veep.
The weirder one is SCOTUS, which is the second gentleman of the United States.
Oh.
Apparently
that
SGOTUS.
That was for
Kamala's husband, yeah.
Yeah. She's amazing. I can't believe she's really thinking of another run after the humiliation she had. It just wasn't long enough. She only had 107 days, however long it was. You'd be kidding me.
Well, the rest of the jokers in there, she fits right in.
All right. Well, reminder that at 7:05 we talked to Tanya Powers from Fox News about the data center crisis, this time focusing on New York moratorium. And John Martin, Representative Martin, joins us on Amendments 4 and 5 at 7:35. So lots coming up on the program. Back with Make Missouri Healthy again when we return. And some new news on the Cryptospora outbreak.
Wake Up Missouri
back into Wake Up Missouri. Now, it's summertime, and we're talking parasites, aren't we? A lot of cyclospora, everyone talking about that. To revisit a story we talked about last week, do you know how Taylor Farms was implicated in as a supplier of Taco Bell in so many places as being, maybe one of the problems? There's been a massive recall. University of Missouri made I think from their food service, they recalled a bunch of stuff and changed up their menu. I saw that. And guess what now? Just as a little reminder, because the FDA always gets it right, I'm just kidding. The FDA says Taylor Farms lettuce sample tested for cyclospora produced false positive.
Do you have any recourse against the government if they point the finger at you and then
Counselor,
suddenly
you read my mind.
pull all your stuff? You probably have to throw it away. And then the damage to your name and your brand, anytime you Google, that's what you get. And now they're like, oops, sorry.
False positive was discovered when the FDA re-reviewed the results of a sample from Taylor Farms de Mexico that was reported positive on Saturday.
So what you're saying is I can go to Taco Bell for lunch today then?
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, or if you do, just get the...
You get the chalupa without lettuce.
Get the quesadilla without the lettuce. Right? I know better than that, ladies and gentlemen. Taylor Farms continues working with the firm, with Taco Bell, to ensure product implicated has been removed from the market Sunday evening. And then Sunday night, Taylor Farms said the FDA made a mistake and apologized. They haven't identified a, quote, single positive product test. Now, I wonder, is the FDA immune? Don't government agencies have some immunity? Isn't there some kind of, which is a total joke?
You're asking the wrong question. We have no clue where this diarrhea outbreak is coming from now. That's what I'm getting. Yeah, we know it's from this little parasite thingy or whatever. I don't know the science.
Well, it's one thing to have diarrhea that can be treated with a sulfa drug that's very common for UTIs, called either brand name Scepter or Bactrim. Very, very common, works very, very well. But on another, and this story really hit me personally, and it's a warning to all of you, that especially those of you who wear contacts. If you are swimming in a lake, even when I'm in the pool, I take out my contacts. I don't swim with contacts on in the pool. I mean, I may take a quick dive and come out, but I mean, if I'm going to go swimming, even in a pool. Did you see this story out of the New York Post? A woman was cleaning out the horse stall, or working around the horse stalls. Somehow she took a spill and ended up head first into the slop, whatever, the muck.
Yuck.
She cleaned herself off, washing away the dirt and mud. She didn't remove her contact lenses from her face. She cleaned off her face, didn't remove her. So that later on that evening, she had a little irritation in her eye, thought, it's just a scratch. I got some.
And now she has horse pink eye.
Well, she lost her eye.
What?
She got a parasite called entamoeba. You can get that from lakes, from animals. I have to tell you, there was a time I was working at the farm. This is over a decade ago. Working at the farm, and made the mistake of coming in and taking out my contacts without washing my hands. And later on that late afternoon, I started feeling like, you know how it feels when you scratch your eye. You get that irritation. And pretty soon things started getting worse and then started tearing up. And
did the horse dung make you emotional, Randy?
No, it turns out I ended up with a corneal ulcer from staph that almost created a permanent corneal damage in my. You can still see the little scar when the optometrist or ophthalmologist. Luckily, I called a doc in St. Louis, the only doctor in St. Louis. This guy is an old guy, wears suspenders, wash you doctor. At midnight, I called him. He said, that sounds like that staph aureus. You better see me tomorrow. Saw me on Super Bowl Sunday. If you get an irritation in your eye, especially if you wear contacts, see a doctor quickly. If you wear contacts, handle them carefully. Do not just use your spit or tap water to renew them. Follow the directions of your opticianal people. They know what they're talking about. Tanya J. Powers coming up. Stay tuned.
This is not the end of the world. We'll get through this. And New York always leads in a smart way. And that's what I'm really proud of what we're doing here.
Is she talking about Mamdani arresting Netanyahu? No, she's talking about data centers. That's New York Governor Kathy Hochul. And we talk now with Tanya J. Powers from Fox News. And Tanya, this is really a divisive issue. Here in Missouri, for instance, it's sort of a federalist approach. Very hands-off sort of, very little guardrails. Let communities sort it out. Some are moratorium. Others are embracing. Tell us about what's going on in New York.
Yeah, there was an executive order that Governor Hochul signed last week that pauses state permitting for large data centers for up to a year. It directs state regulators to create standards that address environmental impacts, energy demand, water usage, and other factors, according to the statement from her office. You're right about the fact that there has been a lot of fights over communities in both Democratic and Republican-leaning states. There's a big fight going on right now in Tennessee around Nashville because there is a planned data center near the Nashville Zoo. The neighborhood they don't want it. Yeah. There's a lot of folks in the Virginia suburbs outside Washington, D.C. It's happening in rural Utah, small towns in New Jersey. Palm Beach, Florida is also having a fierce debate over an artificial intelligence data center that's planned there. So it is across the country, like you just said. It's in big cities and small towns alike.
And, Stephanie Bell has said on more than one occasion, it's sort of a NIMBY issue, isn't it? We all enjoy our AI, but we don't want it in our backyard when it comes to the power and the infrastructure to provide it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the power and the infrastructure seems to be the big issues here. There is, and I'm directing people to this Consumer Reports article from March of this year, which really lays out real well the scope and scale of data centers that we're talking about, because usually when people are hearing about these, they're these kind of big, things that, are somewhere else and there's a fight over it and it's going to take up a lot of room. They really kind of break down what we're talking about here. As of March, there were 3,069 data centers already operating in the U.S., with another 1,489 planned or under construction. When you get down to how much energy these things take, that seems to be the sticking point for a lot of people, not to mention the water. The water is also a huge deal. Yeah. There was a January 2026 report by Bloom Energy that predicts that U.S. data centers' total combined energy demand, that's how much electricity they may use up when they're up and running, will nearly double between 2025 and 2028. That is like adding a country with the energy needs of Spain in 3 years. Some of these things are huge. Meta's Hyperion Center, their project in Louisiana, will need 3 times as much electricity as the entire city of New Orleans. When we're talking about how big they are, that one is about 3,600 acres. According to the reporting from Fortune, that's the size of 2,765 football fields, or twice as big as Louisiana's International Airport.
But as you said, there are a number of hyperscale data centers that have been operating in the country for 20 years. I mean, there's hundreds of them. So if they were eating up all of our water and eating up all of our power, and they were going to raise all of our rates, they've been around and people haven't been paying attention. It seems like people are being fueled by potentially misinformation online, as we've seen in the headlines about data centers.
Well, since there have been some around for decades, that is correct. They're housing the servers and other hardware that's needed to power the internet. Since 2022, when ChatGPT was introduced to the public, that is when generative AI exploded. That requires a lot of new power-hungry, so to speak, equipment. That is what's driving all this in recent years, when we've seen the boom of these things go up. The planned. We're putting a data center in so-and-so's county or whatever. That is one of the reasons, because everybody's trying to get in on the AI data center boom, because that's what's happening now. AI is exploding, and it's, you've got not just ChatGPT, you've got Claude, you've got all kinds of Gemini, all kinds of other ones now. So that is the reason that we're seeing the debates in these areas over these brand new ones. Like I said, there's 1,400 more planned and 3,000 already operating.
Is there a concern that if we close the door, states start to close the door on data centers in the U.S., that we just ship those data centers over to China and then we have concerns about foreign control over our data?
Good question. I mean, according to the Data Center Coalition, which is a trade organization, it basically says that they pushed back on the New York moratorium, saying it will ensure that those investments, jobs, and economic activity flow elsewhere rather than to New York. It is, like I said, it's each community. And I think you pointed this out earlier, that each community is handling this differently. Some say yes, they're welcoming it. Some are saying absolutely not. We're not going to have that here. It just depends.
We're talking with Tanya Powers about fact-based discussion of data centers, because there's so much back and forth rhetoric. She's from Fox News, joins us on Wake Up Missouri.
Offsides. What about the whole complaint of some of the groups out there, and we've seen it around here after they talked about the energy consumption and they talked about water consumption? What about noise pollution as an angle?
That's a good question. I've only got about 30 seconds, but that's one of them I have not really seen brought up as much as the energy and the water usage. One of the big concerns is, of course, the residential prices of energy, electricity. According to federal data, residential prices jumped 7.1% last year. That's more than double the inflation rate. In some states, it was more than 20%. So electric bills are rising. It's not, data centers aren't the only thing pushing that up. Inflation, an aging power grid, those are all significant factors as well. But we are seeing a rise in energy prices.
When we want the facts, we talk to Tanya, and we thank you for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, Tanya Powers. And, this is a conversation that is really accelerating in its impact on, I think, everyone, right? We're all thinking about this. I mean, my hope is that what will come of this will be, if nothing else, can we get Lee Zeldin to be in the room with every data center, whether it's a city council, a county commission, a state legislature, whenever they're discussing this, can we get them in the room and can they appeal to him? Can the industry appeal to him? Can he confidently, and can the United States Senate and House of Representatives come together and say, let us strip the regulations and make them right-sized for nuclear development. Let's get This would be a non-issue. In my opinion, from what I can tell, my read of the science of this is, you do what France has done. They make great baguettes, but they also make great energy. And they make great energy with nuclear power. It is, regardless of Fukushima or 3 Mile Island or blah, 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 it is still by far the safest, most efficient, most affordable, most sustainable energy on the planet. And there has been, Stephanie, such an impediment, mainly, as I understand it. I mean, Ameren tried to we couldn't even in Missouri pass an exploratory, some kind of a rate increase or something to get things ready a decade or so ago. Regulations just kill these things before they even get started.
They do, and I think we really have to focus on the facts. I mean, we constantly hear, we've heard it from local officials, and we heard it just now about water usage, and I'm looking at a report by CBS News, right? And so they say, well, they use a lot of water. Well, we in general, Americans use a lot of water. So when we're looking at data centers, this graph from CBS says...
You have a bidet, after all.
I don't yet, but I'm thinking about it. Yeah. But you bring up a good point. I mean, so they're saying all U.S. data centers use 228, I think it's billions of gallons, which as a nominal number, you think, wow, that's a lot of water, right? You know what? Residential laundry, more than twice, 500 billion gallons. So data centers... So what, are we going to stop washing our clothes? Because 500's twice as much as all the data centers are using.
We got a front loader.
Doing our part. Golf courses, 531 billion. Leaking water pipes, 900 billion gallons. Toilets, 1,300. Residential showers, 1,700.
Gary Nolan even brought up the almond farming industry,
yes,
far outstripping them.
Irrigation of corn crops, 1,860. U.S. beef and meat production, 2,500 billion gallons. Residential lawn irrigation, 2,900 gallons, or 2,900 billion gallons annually. Okay, that's 2,900. Again, we use that on watering our lawns. And again, the number for data centers is 228. Okay, 228 versus 2,900. Okay, so when we talk about water, we need to talk about it in terms of we need to better understand what our water usage is for everything else.
And isn't the Google one going up in New Florence supposed to be air cooled? I mean, they're not. Isn't that a different technology,
developing
right?
New technologies that include air cooling and closed loop systems and all of that. So
Tricks?
I think the important thing is when we're having these discussions, like this information is available. You know what? Online.
I think a bunch of
let's talk about it in
let's
real
put high
facts.
school and adolescents into work. You know, the old days where they used to have the guys with the fan keeping the king and queen cool. Let's get people out there doing that in the evening.
I already asked Zimmer for one of those for us, and they denied my request.
Be another opportunity for some money making that you could count on, Drake. Yeah.
Are you asking me to go into a data center and like wave the fan? But didn't Stephanie just say that they don't even use that much water?
Yeah.
It would pay well. I don't know. I think it's prudent for us to be cautious about that. We've heard about the big drain on water supplies, and particularly in the West, where there's already a dearth of water.
I mean, commercial car washes use half what all data centers in America use. We're not going to suddenly go out there, and those things are popping up everywhere, right? We're not going to suddenly say, oh, you know, car washes use a lot of water. We got to get a moratorium on car washes. I mean, come on.
Well, but that's like saying that, you know, if alcohol is good, let's legalize marijuana and methamphetamine and everything
I'm
else.
just saying when we're talking about the issues, we need to look at the actual facts.
Yeah.
And the facts are out there and people are ignoring them.
It's all China. China, China, China. Hey, guess what? AOC is taking lessons on public speaking and elocution and even maybe regional voice modification. We'll talk about that when we come back on Wake Up Missouri. John Martin coming up at 7:35.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
Missouri, Stephanie, you reported on the Daily DC Rundown that to be endorsed by AOC is a desirable thing for many, many, many Democrat candidates, right? Especially in those safe blue districts, because she's an aspirant for the 28 presidential nomination, right? And it's important that she, at all times and in all places, be very, very sensitive to the audience, because public speaking, you have to know your audience, right? You have to read the audience. You have to get to know them. You have to. And so she's been taking some voice lessons. Did you know that? She's been taking some lessons in elocution and public speaking.
Good for her.
And they were on display the other day. She was backing a Tennessee state rep candidate, he is a rep, Justin Peterson. And here's a little bit of what happened. Tell me what you think. See if the lessons have been working out.
We cannot afford to leave Kentucky behind, Alabama behind, Mississippi behind, Georgia behind, South Carolina behind. There is no country when we are split apart.
What do you think? She's reading the audience. She's in Tennessee, after all. Huh?
I don't hate it. I thought it was a pretty good accent.
Doing pretty good there. Huh?
Better than Hillary's Southern accent.
Well, now, wait a minute. We're going to have to. She's been actually taking lessons from both Hillary and someone else who was recently in the political realm. Listen.
I don't feel no ways tired. I come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me that the road would be easy. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me.
You better thank a union member.
Kamala and Hillary.
For the 5-day work week. You better thank a union member for sick leave. You better thank a union member for paid leave. You better thank a union member for vacation time.
Now, she's doing okay, but it's not quite to the standards of Hillary or Kamala, I don't think. Do you? I just don't think it lives up to those standards.
She's working on it. It's a work in progress.
Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't have the same. It just doesn't have the same bite, the same impact, the same gravitas.
The same when we were talking to Tanya J. Powers of Fox News, and she said Nashville. That was authentically her.
Yeah, here we go. Let's listen again.
We cannot afford to leave Kentucky behind, Alabama behind, Mississippi behind, Georgia behind, South Carolina behind.
I don't think it's quite up to Hillary and Kamala standards.
She's got to work on it.
Yeah. But she's trying. It's good.
I just don't understand how you could be in that room and seeing her on her socials all the time and in Congress and on the news and know that is a act. It's theater.
Now, when she goes back to bartend, will they hire her back in New York City? How's that going to float if you're in a bar on 58th Avenue?
What? She's not going to bust out the accent there. You got to know your audience.
Oh, that's right. She'll be a shapeshifter.
Yeah.
Some things, these things can become a habit, though,
I mean, say what you want about Donald Trump, but he has never done that. He is going to speak like himself, be himself, whether he's with, in a manufacturing plant, whether he's at the UN, whether he's on the socials. Good Lord.
Well, we're going to talk with Representative John Martin, see his opinions on A4 and A5 that'll be on the ballot here in just a few weeks for you in Missouri. Stay tuned for that on Wake Up Missouri. Good morning. Welcome back into Wake Up Missouri. Just a few weeks, you're going to have a chance to, what is it now? 2 weeks, right? No. Yeah, a little over that. You're going to have a chance to vote on Amendment 4, Amendment 5, talk about those and what it means to you. Representative John Martin joins us now. And, John, this is not going to be a cakewalk to get these across the finish line, is it?
Yeah, good morning, Randy. Yeah. There's a lot of challenges, that we're, getting the information out there. And when people really consider, the vital nature of both of these, I think are very important for our state.
So let's start with a process one, and that is the initiative petition. Tell us about what would change, and maybe answer the argument against it, which is somehow the opposition to initiative petition reform, Amendment 4, is saying that it's somehow undemocratic. How do you answer that?
Sure. To your first question, so what it would be to amend the Missouri Constitution is a simple majority statewide. And then this proposal on Amendment 4 is to make it more geographically, as far as supportive throughout the whole state, so that you still have a simple majority, but it has to be from all 8 congressional districts. So let's get the whole state involved, and that if it's something that important to amend the Constitution, we want the whole state geographically, north, south, rural, urban, to say yes to something to get into the Constitution. And then undemocratic, the answer to the undemocratic, I disagree with that 100%. Number one, people can still vote. Their votes count. They are able to still petition the government. We just have to raise the threshold. Our Constitution literally is for sale, and outside groups are coming in, putting initiative petitions, getting their signatures. They're running to St. Louis, Kansas City, Boone County, and Greene County, pushing their agenda, and they push it, get it across the finish line. Most of the time, 51%, 52%, and we just need to raise the threshold.
Well, no doubt this Constitution has been amended probably up in the upper 10th percentile of those in the country. I don't know the exact number, but it's too easy. And you compare it to other states, it's just not that easy, sure. Especially successful states, because then people that have to make decisions, whether it's business decisions, personal investment decisions, where to move, where to live. They don't know what the rules are going to be because it's just an election cycle away.
Right. Randy, let me give you some really good statistics I think that'll help people. Some of the big amendments in the last 5 or 6 years: sports betting, abortion, marijuana, Medicaid expansion, all those. Most of those passed in about 8 or 9 of our 114 counties. For example, the abortion amendment only passed in 8 of 114 counties. Medicaid expansion back 6 years ago, only 8 out of 114 counties. So we are not getting broad support statewide. And here's what's very dangerous. For example, like the Medicaid expansion, the growth of socialism and communism within our state, wanting to have more and more income redistribution, more and more, big government, high taxes. And that's what it's going to take to support these programs. Just the other day at the Farm Bureau event, the Democrat that's run against Bob Onder, he was pushing, we want single payer health care. We want state, run health care for everybody. And that was that's one of the objectives when they expanded Medicaid in Missouri to working age adults. That was the objective. They're moving towards that target. And right now we have a $48 billion operating budget in Missouri. $21 billion of that is Medicaid right now. And so if they continue to expand that and want to grow that, that'll break the bank, and that'll ruin our state budget. It'll just become much more socialistic, communistic, which is not good. So that's why we need a yes on 4 to stop these kind of groups that want to just little by little make government bigger and bigger and bigger, and actually ruin people's the services for people. We know that health care, when it's nationalized, lives are hurt, and then you look at Cuba, Russia, things like that. It just does not work.
So let's transition and talk a little bit about Amendment 5. We heard from your colleague last week, David Tyson Smith, that the Democrats are adamantly opposed to both Amendment 4 and Amendment 5. It's a huge priority of the governor's. You're similarly a small business owner. Why are you in support of Amendment 5?
Stephanie, great question. I want to be in a state that is leading the pack economically. And when we look at states, there's 9 states that don't have a personal income tax. They're getting ahead of us with job growth, population growth, employing as far as companies coming there. And so it's good for business. It's good for our families. And so that's, why I support Amendment 5.
That's Representative John Martin talking about two critical issues that'll be on your ballot in August. That's Amendment 4. That is the amending the Constitution provision. And, of course, Amendment 5, a sunsetting with contingencies for the income tax. He joins us on Wake Up Missouri.
John talked to us January 2027 and the massive spending cuts that the state of Missouri is going to be having to zero in on when you guys return to the Capitol.
Sure. Yeah, I'm going to be zeroing in on just our state priorities. Our priorities, I think, as a state should be public safety, should be education, and also then infrastructure. And so as I mentioned about Medicaid and things like that, there's a lot of these social programs that really need to be evaluated because of just the expansive amount of money that's coming, from our citizens to have to support these programs. And so it's going to be some challenging times.
Yeah. John, we talked with Tanya Powers from Fox News earlier, and it's an issue that really, I think, it bubbles to the surface in many different ways around conversations concerning artificial intelligence and the data and the power and the water and all that comes with it. Where do you stand and land on the whole data center issue? Because even in there are various communities, there's divergent views. But what's yours?
Yeah, mine would just be more of a balanced approach. We need that as far as for economic growth. Obviously, the need for data centers and all the demands for that information in our technologies-driven society. But then also you have to balance that with obviously the local needs, making sure that they're carrying their weight with the obviously electrical use, water use, things like that. So it's a balanced approach. I think it's important.
Are you?
Also, I would say I'd also add in there you got to be careful as far as on the use of the land and then eminent domain and things like that in neighborhoods.
Well, that's the conflict, right? Is it a public use to the point that farmland predominantly, almost exclusively, is going to be gobbled up against landowners' wishes because of the big air finger quotes here, public use, the justification for eminent domain?
Right, that's the challenge there. We want to obviously keep private property rights, and our agricultural land for food production is very critical.
Are you satisfied that the regulatory environment in Missouri, to the extent that it affects the development of nuclear power, which will probably be the answer ultimately for all of these, are we doing what we can to try to make it at the same time safe and yet efficient to get those plants built and online? I know that a lot of federal EPA regulations go into that, and Missouri can't do much about that. But are you satisfied from the Missouri standpoint that you all are doing what you can do to make it the right size regulatory environment?
I think there's more work to be done. I support the governor's push for last year had those energy conferences and things like that on looking into more nuclear. It's going to take a lot more research. It's been so many years since any of it been built. But looking at some of the models, but anyway, but that is we talking about down in Texas and things like that. That relates very much to Amendment 5 in the standpoint of let's get our economy. Like a Tennessee or a Texas or a Florida where they are growing, they don't have that personal income tax. Yes, they have an expanded sales tax, but that's a win for Missourians. When you actually crunch the numbers, it's a win for Missouri families because they're going to get that income tax back. They're going to be able to either save that or spend that. Yeah, there'll be some expanded sales tax, but the big guardrail is this. It's not a statewide tax increase. That's false information out there that we're just going to tax everything. It's going to throw open the door. That can't happen. Anything that's expanded into sales tax has to eliminate the income tax.
Yeah.
So let's give it to people's, individual choice. It's proven. It's showing that it's income growth. And I would say this, Randy, the best way to help people, even lower income people, is through wage growth. It's not through big government programs, which will demand more and more taxes, wealth taxes, things like that. And you hear Democrats talking about that. That's not the path. We need to have more free enterprise and more personal choice in our spending.
Let me ask you a question concerning the, quote, expanded sales tax base. That, of course, that's a possibility. It's a likelihood that, some things that weren't taxed may become taxed, depending on what the legislature would decide up the road.
Sure. Then
there's been a lot said about medical services, legal services, accounting services. My brother and many probably listening to this broadcast is involved in internet, website development, marketing, brand development and stuff like that. And he and others have been concerned that, well, would those intellectual kind of services be taxed, or would it just be if I'm if I'm a marketing developer for some small business and I design the logo that goes on pens and cups and stickers and stuff, what of that whole gamish might be taxed in your vision of the future? Would it be the intellectual part of that, the service part, or would it be the hardware, the deliverables on that?
Right. Well, as far as big picture, right now we are just taxing 1/3 of our economy. The sales tax goes to products, which is only 1/3. So 2/3 of our economy is services.
Wow.
And so the state legislature will really have to look at the different areas. I think we're going to use Tennessee as an example of a lot of the things that they have expanded to. They're a Midwestern state, similar to size, location, things like that. And those are possibilities. I know they've. And also when you think about some of those types of services. Yes, it'll be a change, and things will be altered. But with that, it expands the tax base. It can lower the rates because you spread it out, and that's a positive. When you have all these corporations like the Netflix and things like that that are not, as far as paying sales tax on things that they used to pay sales tax on, or these other types of services, those are the type of things that we can expand it to, spread it out. It'll alter, but I think it's overall very much a positive. And also another thing to that point is that higher income people often use those type of services, whether it be legal services. So that's another way of spreading out that sales tax as well.
Well, I've done some research on it. I just, the realtors are really pushing back against this income tax thing.
Sure.
Advertisers I know are, but in Tennessee, as I understand it, pure advertising services, creative work is not subject to sales tax. And realty services, tied to real are generally exempt when separately stated. So I think there's a lot of fear mongering going on out there. No.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, I know that. I mean, the governor, you've heard this many times. The governor said he's not interested and supportive of sales tax expansion into real estate, agriculture, healthcare.
Yeah. All right.
Even, for example, federal law with Medicaid, you can't even tax it. I mean, that's a federal law.
Right.
So that's important. I know Tennessee, they do a lot of personal, tangible repairs. So let's say car repairs, computer repairs, things like that. Not so much, like you said, the advertising services, but more of repairs, and so expanding to that is, I think, is
the guys in engineering here tell me I don't have to repair my computer; just turn it on and turn it off and put it back on. It always works. So I don't know.
Reboot it, yeah.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it, John Martin. Thanks for all the hard work you do, brother. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
There he is, John Martin. What's coming up, John Marsh?
How much would you pay for a Tay Trav wedding souvenir?
Stephanie knows. She'll fill in the blanks. But John will lay the groundwork when we come back.
It's Wake Up
Except for this.
After Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's July 3rd wedding in Madison Square Garden, one New York man made bank by collecting the trash outside the venue and selling the treasure to the Swifties. There's garbage on the floor after the party, collected from the edge of a love story outside Madison Square Garden, as close to Taylor and Travis's big day you could have gotten without an invite. According to collector Justin Ginock, as he wrote on his website, said the items he found included cigarette butts, plastic cups, plastic straws, scraps of fabric, an ovulation test kit, plastic bags, candy wrappers, and even a single AirPod. So he packaged up each item in an airtight plastic cube labeled just TNT Married and marketed his wares as pocket garbage. He sold out after the Swifties bought all 50 of the trash cubes, $25 a piece.
I saw that story, and what can you say? What does that tell us about our American culture?
I thought it would go for more. I'm going to be quite honest. I would probably buy Travis Kelce, $25 trash of his wedding.
I think better of you than that, Drake.
No, you know how cool that'd be to have in like my little man cave? Like,
hey, who knows? Yeah. Maybe that was Taylor Swift's own earpod that fell out.
I'm sorry. The people who are buying this trash are probably the same people who are complaining about gas prices and how they can't afford apartments.
Yeah. And want their student loan for Botswana basket weaving degrees to be forgiven, right?
Yeah, right on the money. Pay for all my stuff so I can buy the Taylor Swift trash. That sounds awesome.
When a population becomes unengaged and so misdirected, that's when civilizations crumble.
I don't know. I had gone to the whole world is going to hell in a handbasket, but I'm just saying these, there are better things to spend your money on than other people's trash.
Of course, there were.
Bill, the Swifties say to you, shake it off.
There were pet rocks back in the day, by the way. So
had one.
People have all. You have one?
I had a pet rock. I don't know where it happened to it.
I thought
maybe it went back
Jay.
for whence it came.
Yeah.
Did your parents take it to the farm?
Actually, it's a celebration. It's a celebration of capitalism, right? Good for the guy. I mean, think about it. I mean, brilliant idea that who would have thought of that?
My great uncle, I've talked about him before, the designer of the Game of Life. When the pet rock came out, he thought the guy was brilliant.
Yeah.
If trash is your thing, if you have a trash fetish, I usually have some extra trash laying around my house. I'm happy to. Yeah, usually my blue bin's a little full. I'll sell you a bag of trash for $1, but you got to haul it away.
I don't know, man. Can you imagine that guy? Where is the assembly and packaging room for that guy? I mean, for that stuff. Wow.
Probably on his desk with one of those vacuum seal things.
Yeah, probably.
Stephanie,
there's only 50 of them.
And hopefully he has rubber gloves and an ovulation test kit. I mean, that is talk about a dirty job. Ugh.
And cigarette butts. Ugh, yeah.
Is this the same guy that dove into the porta potty looking for a Mountain Dew?
Could have been.
That ovulation prediction one, though.
I mean,
there should be an extraordinary charge for that one.
Her aim was true.
I'm sorry. It's the best I can do. It's Monday morning. Back with more Wake Up Missouri in a few. Stay with us.
It's your morning addiction. Wake Up Missouri with Stephanie Bell, the Zimmer News Team. And now introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
They're cowardly. Their party is being taken over now by, every day I hear about a new, very radical. I feel very good about, 10 whatever years ago, I did lose fans because, I wasn't going to go along with some of this crazy stuff on the left, too. I didn't change really on what I thought about the right, but I can't sit and just not notice stuff, which people seem to want to do because it's all about my team or your team. But, there's some crazy stuff, when we're cheering for the Intifada, I'm out.
Well, I don't know if you saw Jay Clayton is nominated to be the head director of national intelligence, had a hearing. Just had a hearing.
So, Bill Maher, talking with Jonathan Karl the other day, is, I think, outlining where I think we might be headed, if not in the midterms, in 2028. You're listening to Wake Up Missouri. I am Randy Tobler. Stephanie Bell, I know that we keep our eyes on elections, national, state, local, but in terms of large themes, John and Drake, I got to ask you, I'm sensing that there's a lot of people that are nominally liberal/Democrat, conservative/Republican, who are looking within their own tent and going, whew, the stench, where's the stench coming from? Not going to be a part of it. And they're looking for something. Is it a Back to the Future? Is it something new? Is it something different? I think they're looking for a purging of the stench. But at the same time, we have to recognize the stench is growing. And, sometimes when you got the stench, you can put on all the deodorant you want and it doesn't fix it.
I don't know if they're just trying to, fix their... Personally, and maybe this is the Gen Z, just burn it all, I guess, but if the Republican Party starts acting as crazy as DSA is right now, I might just become an independent at this point, which I think we're going to see a lot of. I think it'll go that way and not everyone going back to their party trying to fix it and just being loped in with it.
Well, let's follow up on that. So you're an independent, theoretically, okay? Just let's do this thought experiment. So you're an independent. Who's the candidate that fits the best picture of what an independent in an election, let's say for president in 28, general election 28?
Buddy.
Who?
Bernie Sanders.
Bernie. Come on. That was a funny joke
really?
by John.
Yeah, okay, you're joking.
We said independent, and he's already...
Well, yeah. That's cultural appropriation gone awry with Bernie Sanders calling himself an independent. But, think about it. There are people on the left and the right that are just shaking their heads and going, what in the world? And especially on the left, we see it on the left, just something terrible now with what's going on. And I'm not unhappy about that. That's good. Did you see where a poll is saying that the gap, the general sentiment, Democrat, Republican, in terms of the general sentiment, the generic poll, is closing? Among committed voters, it was 9 or 10% a couple months ago. Now it's down to 7 or 8%. And among likely voters, it's only about 3%, and it was 4 or 5%. And again, moving towards against the Democrats. And I think, don't you think, Stephanie, that's driven by a fleeing among maybe center-left people saying, I'm not voting for a Democrat if this is the new Democrat Party.
Yeah, I think the DSA platform, as we learn more about it and we see more and more Democrats kind of agreeing with what they're saying, I think it's frightened. I'm frightened by it. I think it frightens people, right? Let's abolish our police departments, abolish the Senate, abolish this and that. It sounds more like kind of anarchy. And you think, you just look at them and you hear them talk and you think these people cannot be in charge.
It's anarchy, and it's at the even more. It's whether it's Mamdani controlling rents, or whether it's, the socialist / communist either control of the means of the production or owning the production.
Yeah, and I think when you're talking about younger people, I mean, we all lived through COVID, but they bore a lot of the brunt of COVID. When you're talking about people in my generation, we kind of are in the height of our careers. And we saw what the government, what turning over, relinquishing your individual power to the government unwillingly looks like. It didn't go well for us, Randy.
No, you're right.
It didn't go well.
Absolutely.
And so I think
You're right.
when we hear these people saying we need to give the government more control, blah, 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 I think we tried, I think some of us voluntarily gave the government more control than we ever had because we thought, okay, they're telling us 14 days to slow the spread, and they have all this data, and then most of that turned out to be false. I think some of us are saying, no way. Like we need to take back control.
So help me with this, because I've told you before, I'm concerned, like Marsh is concerned with a shift to the far left in the Republican Party, in the Democrat Party. I'm concerned with what I view as a shift to the left in the Republican Party under the name of populism. There's been some very conservative things done, like close the borders and so forth. But listen to what he said in terms of his calculus on both parties in more of that interview with Jonathan Karl. It's a little bit long, but it's instructive, and it got me to thinking.
Yes, my vote is in play because it can't be Trump running. So I'm not living in communist America. I mean, I know the talking point is, well, it's not communism, it's socialism. Okay, I've read the quotes from the DSA platform, from their own mouths. Don't tell me I'm not seeing what I am seeing. And DSA, again, they say things like, takeover of key industries, government. That's communism. There is a definition.
By the way, Trump's doing that too.
Of course.
Okay. So he calls out the DSA for taking control of the means of production, which is the definition of socialism. But then Karl challenges him and says, but Trump's doing that too. Now, you may not like Jonathan Karl, but increasingly I respect Bill Maher. Here's what Maury says.
Yes.
And to a degree that we haven't seen any other president or Republican do.
Great. That's crazy, too.
He's got a piece of intel.
Right.
A piece of the AI company.
He treats everything like it's a real estate deal.
Okay. So I thought, well, Bill, come on. You're just a never Trumper. You got TDS. I did a little research. The government acquired a 9.9% equity stake in Intel, a 1% stake in Global Foundries, and minority stakes across a cluster of quantum computing companies, including backing a dedicated venture with IBM. We have a 15% equity stake in MP Materials, becoming its largest shareholder, a 10% stake in USA Rare Earth, a 5% stake in Lithium Americas, a 10% stake in Trilogy Metals, a golden share in U.S. Steel as a part of a deal permitting its sale to Japan's Nippon Steel. What about the twisting the arm of pharma to lower the prices? Is Donald Trump guilty a little bit of what the DSA want to do?
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I don't think that the governments became like majority in a lot of them. I know that you said there was one or two in there, but I mean, do we have like a board of people who are like in the government saying, all right, this is how we're going to take care of this, or are we just investing?
Well, he justifies as saying, well, if we're going to help these companies through, promoting their industries, whatever, we ought to get a piece of it. But what about picking winners and losers? And what about, who's going to take the time, and where will be the transparency on where these companies, their board of directors, their employees, their C-suite, whose campaigns are they contributing to? I'm just asking the question.
I think it's fundamentally different to make strategic investments in certain industries or products than to desire that the government control an entire industry and all of the players within that.
There is a difference in scale, but not in terms of the general ideology of the government getting in bed with, in this case, in a very material way, with industry.
I mean, it's different in that, again, you like what Trump's doing, you're calling picking winners and losers, and I don't think I disagree there. But, I mean, the socialists aren't picking winners and losers. They're, grabbing onto an industry and regulating the whole thing.
Oh, I agree. It's a matter of scale and degree, but I'm concerned of a slippery slope. I just want free markets. Free markets. Don't call crony capitalism free markets. It's not. It just isn't. And we in the conservative movement have let our values slide. So I maintain that 28 is going to be an election of values and principles. Even if it's not expeditious and in the moment helpful for you or someone you like or your own cause or your own generation, is it American? Is it constitutional? Is it first principles? Are we willing to sometimes sacrifice the short-term good for us and winning and what's good for me rather than for this country and its ideals and its principles that it were founded on and got us to this 250-year dance? I wonder about that. And maybe there'll be a coalescence of people who from all sides say, it is about first principles.
I find investing in various industries or companies less objectionable than what we saw under the Biden administration with like Lena Khan and them, when two businesses come together and decide to do a deal and they blow it up. I think that I find more frustrating.
There's nothing new under the sun on government being in bed with industry. Well, look at the robber barons back in the 19th century and the big giant land grants from government to build the railroads and all that stuff. So I think ahead of the midterms, the Democrats are just hoping for their old saw about where the voters will hold their nose and vote Democratic.
We didn't like it when Barack Hussein Obama made a special deal with General Motors to bail them out and give the unions a sweet deal.
I believe it's government motors.
We didn't like that one bit. The torches and pitchforks were knocking at the studio door. I'm just asking us to be equal opportunity critics. That's all I'm saying. 573-874-9390. And you're right, there is a difference than taking over a whole industry. But in a way, could you argue that if you're going to invest in Intel, why not? Drake's got a little startup chip company. What? Drake, would you like a little grant from the government, a little investment? Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love some government money for my startup.
Don't count on it, buddy. Don't count on it. Who'd you donate to last cycle? Just saying. Back with the Morning Bell in a minute.
It's Wake Up Missouri
Time for the morning bell. How will the markets respond to the Iran conflict, Steph?
Not so hot Friday. We had the NASDAQ down 1.40, the S&P down 1.01, the Dow down 0.77. The biggest losses were amongst communication services and consumer discretionary. But year to date, we're still looking pretty good. We've got the NASDAQ up over 9%, the S&P and the Dow up over 8% year to date. As we look at the futures, we are getting a slight bump. Everybody is in the green. Now, over the weekend, I had a weird experience. First, let's talk where the markets are headed. We do have earnings season kicking into high gear. We're kind of out of the government data reporting window, and we've got Alphabet and Tesla reporting Wednesday, Intel on Thursday, and we've also got American Express, Capital One, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. So we'll get an insight as to how big companies are feeling about our economic situation. We also have a tariff deadline that arrives Friday. That's the Trump administration's temporary 10% global tariffs are set to expire. So we'll be watching that. But I had a weird experience this weekend, Randy, in that I was hanging out with some friends, and I would call these like sports friends. They live their life around sports. And so I said, yeah, hey, like, how's your weekend been? Small talk. What'd you do yesterday?
You and Drake were hanging out?
No.
Oh, okay.
But it'd be like this. And they said, we learned how to play mahjong, and it was awesome. From the moms to the dads to the teenage boy sons, and they said it was awesome. And I thought, we've all heard from Jennifer Bukowski that she loves mahjong, but it is truly becoming mania. And I thought, okay, we've crossed a threshold here, right? If it's gone from, the pickleball moms to mainstream. And that's what I kind of thought. And I looked it up, and it is a huge business right now. And in fact, Fox has an article about how Gen Z is now obsessed with mahjong, which was traditionally kind of a grandma's game, right?
But it's from China.
It is from China. It's
from
a game
China.
that's more than 200 years old, but suddenly people are totally obsessed, including the younger population, and it's starting to show up on TikTok. So my question for you is, what's one old person, quote, old person hobby that you think deserves a comeback? We know Randy's going to vote for rock tumbling, but is it bowling? Is it bridge, canasta?
Bowling
gardening?
never left. Are you kidding me?
Well,
oh my gosh, I love bowling.
Well, people are saying that it's not just a game, it's an experience. People
Cribbage.
are craving cribbage. That's a good one, John. Text us, 573-874-9390. What should make a comeback? But they said, they want activities that don't just revolve around drinking, although I've seen a lot of wine mahjong parties. They want activities that aren't just staring at a screen or making awkward small talk. Mahjong gives them strategy, competition, and you can sit around and chat with your friends.
How much cerebral energy does that take?
It's a lot.
Yeah.
I think. I learned recently.
Like bridge level? No. Almost, you could make it that?
Yeah, I think so. I had to really focus to learn. And I think maybe once you've learned, you can play more comfortably. But learning, I think, wasn't the easiest. But these things are big business. One startup called Oh My Mahjong has grown into a $30 million a year business in just a few years. And they report that they sell a game mat every 10 seconds.
Wow.
And so they said it's the latest status symbol, move over Stanley Cups and everything else. And now celebrities and folks in your circles combined all are showing off their latest mahjong sets.
Now, are there Bobby Fishers and Boris Spasskys and, like chess master equivalents in mahjong?
I'm waiting for the ESPN 7 special, the one that covers the Excel spreadsheet competition to cover a mahjong competition. But I'm telling you, I learned, it's fun, and I think we've crossed a threshold. I think if you haven't learned yet, you better start learning because your friends are going to be wanting to play.
All right, well, I don't know about mahjong. And the sets can get expensive, too.
Hundreds of dollars.
I'll join a group.
All right, back with more Wake Up Missouri after this. Missouri. Stephanie Bell's there. I'm Randy Tobler, John Marsh, and Drake Whitman. We're Wake Up Missouri. You are part of the Wake Up family, and you hope you'll join us on the text line from time to time, 573-874-9390. 800-529-5572 if you'd like to call us about anything that's on your mind. Maybe something we're talking about. And, I know, gang, we have Feel Good Fridays. We talk about some fun stuff. After we talk about the, headline news, we have to talk about that no matter how we're feeling. But I had a Feel Good, Sunday. Occasionally I get this after the Sunday morning Talking Head shows, and I start looking through all the interviews and stuff. Feeling pretty good when even Jonathan Karl, who is not any friend of Donald Trump, not any friend of conservatives, not any friend of GOP, but when he catches a politician, especially a Dem, in a lie, it's good. Makes it a feel-good Monday.
71% of Democrats say they favor this.
You know what? In Virginia, we have voter ID and photo ID. I got to show my...
That's actually not the case. I mean, I'm a Virginia voter. You don't need to show a photo ID in Virginia. There are a wide range of things you can show for ID. And if you don't show one of those, you can sign an affidavit saying...
sign an affidavit.
But so it's not required.
Those become ballots that if you want to contest later can be contested. But you do have a variety of documents. But we have voter ID of one form or another...
But should that be a national standard?
Politicians, they must be some of the brightest people in the world, that they can tell the truth, but not the whole truth, and totally mislead you. Politicians, if you pull that on me, you lose credibility with me. Okay, so he said we have voter ID. But what was the purpose of said statement? Well, what do you mean we got voter? No, that needs to be the only obligate proof of citizenship and your voter eligibility. He failed. He omitted the fact that, you can present, other documents that don't have your photo on it and aren't really a valid voter ID that way,
And sign an affidavit to vote?
That occurs in many places. Maybe even in Missouri. Stephanie, do you know? John, I don't know. I think in many places, if you don't, oh my God, I lost my wallet. I left my wallet at home, and it's 6:59:58, and I'm here to vote. Can't you sign something and have a provisional ballot?
Yes, you can sign I believe you can still sign a provisional ballot and vote.
A lot of places have that.
Okay, that's actually awesome then.
I believe you can. I might need to double check that. If you've if you have one but you've lost it, but it's current.
Well, in many places, there's a way that you can say, I am a citizen. I can prove it. I just didn't bring it with me. I didn't.
You know what we should implement that for? Gas stations and places I buy cigarettes. Because I swear every time I run out, I have to, I forget my ID. It just happens every time. So can I just hey, this is really me. Here's a picture of my ID. I'm going to sign an affidavit, and you can come back and get me if it's wrong.
And here's the provision. So if you don't have any form of identification, but you are registered, you can cast a provisional ballot. It counts if you return to your polling place on election day with your photo ID, which if you showed up at the last minute, that's not a possibility, or the signature on your provisional ballot envelope is determined by your county clerk to match the signature on your voter registration record.
Now, I for one, if it's that important to you to vote, and it is important to you to vote, and if it's that precious, you Democrats out there, if it's really that precious, like eating, to me, hunting, fishing, rock tumbling, I'm going to make sure I have what I need to achieve said goal. That's on me. If it's that important. You can't have it both ways. You can't have it be so precious and so important and so absolutely you're right. And just because you have, come on. Well, if it's that important, then it's important. And you go through what it takes to secure said right. No?
My favorite tweets in the last week about this are about the Olive Garden pasta pass. You've seen that, right? And you have to have a valid ID to use your pasta pass.
Oh,
and
I have that.
People are
I'll come up with that. I've got some sound to go with that. Yeah. Stephen Miller did that. He said that. Yeah. So it's It's interesting. The things that are so, it's so important. But, if doesn't matter if it's, I just write something on a back of a lottery ticket that I'm a citizen. Okay, take this. Okay, sounds good to me. Good. No. If it's that important, if it's that sacred, it ought to be sacred.
Okay, but the affidavit thing is cool and helpful, especially if, lawyers can go back and, challenge those. I think that's not a terrible thing. Maybe showing some false whatever, or not even showing an ID at all. That sucks, but if they have to sign an affidavit and lawyers can go back and say, okay, that was wrong, that vote shouldn't count, then I actually don't see a problem with it.
So you're okay with that?
As long, but the affidavit part.
Do you think that a water bill or a rent payment bill or a Medicaid check from the government should suffice? I mean, you know what I mean? A check stub? I don't think so.
No.
Well, that's the kind of things that he forgot to omit. I mean, Save America says only a photo voter ID works, and that you need to have proof of citizenship at the polls. I mean, at the registration process.
I was in a unique instance whenever I turned 18 and voted in my first election because I was still in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think high school kids could use their report card in these states? Do you think someone could get away with that?
Would you want to show your report card, Drake?
Oh God,
that may be what talk about a poll tax. Do you think we should allow Drake should we allow Drake to show his report card and have that stand, Stephanie? Let you be the judge on that one.
No.
No? I would agree. I don't think that should happen.
But let's say a straight A student forgets their ID at home. Do you think it would work? Stephanie, you do election law. Do you think showing in a report card, do you think that'd be good enough in some of these states?
In some of the states, no. I still don't think it's a report card. I think a lot of the states have what Missouri used to have, where you had to show up with a utility bill with your address on it. There were other things that you could show as well. I think you could show a pay stub. I forget what the old rules were, but it was utility bill was what a lot of people used.
Yeah. Well, I don't know though. I just don't. Why would a utility bill work? I mean, because can't you have someone else do that for you? I don't know. I would think so.
We're at the Olive Garden. Was setting a question to Olive Garden management, asking if they're all you can eat summer pass could be shared with their family members, and the Olive Garden corporate replied, and they said, no, your card has a barcode that relates solely to you, and you must present a photo ID with your all you can eat pasta pass in order to access all you can eat pasta. So we've reached the point as a society where access to fettuccine at Olive Garden is vastly more secure than deciding who is commander-in-chief of the country.
I think it's a good argument. I'm looking at some of the requirements right now. So, for example, in states where a non-photo ID is required, one example is Alaska. They say accepted forms of identification include your driver's license, hunting or fishing licenses, a current utility bill or paycheck, a government check, a bank statement, or other government-issued document with your current address. Sorry, Drake. Report card doesn't make the list.
Boo.
An autographed copy of Sarah Palin's book won't count?
It sounds like pretty much anything counts. Yeah. That's the problem.
I don't know. When you've got, what is wrong with Democrats? Okay, so if you're a Democrat who's concerned about the DSA insurgency, and you're looking at the polls, and you see that even among Democrats, was it 60 to 70% support the Save America Act? If you're trying to rein that movement in and make a statement for what is good, true, and beautiful about America, and just doing things right and wrong, why wouldn't you be on this like yesterday and having a joint, moment at the podium outside the Senate with John Thune saying, we're going to get this done? What are they just trying to hedge their bets? Or are Democrats in the so-called mainstream, are they like hedge funds now? Is that what's going on? This would be like a winner to come down on the side of this. And what's wrong with Republicans that won't come down on the side of this? It is so crystal clear and so poll-driven clear, which I thought that's what politicians did. They're representatives of the constituents, and aren't they just in general sense representative of the people? Well, if the people are telling you in poll after poll after poll, we want stricter voter and safer and more secure elections, starting with this, why not?
Well, the argument's been, too, though, even from the conservative side of the federal rights versus states' rights. And that's been some of the debate that we've heard, saying, hey, you're right. Deciding how we handle this in our state.
That's a good point. But I think sort of like the data center thing in Missouri, where there's really very wide guidelines. The governor talked to us about that. John Martin talked to us about earlier about that. Set very wide lanes within the various communities can drive. The federal government does that with Medicaid. Do that with a lot of things. And if it's a federal election, I think that doesn't the government have the right and obligation to protect the sacrosanct aspect of those elections? If you're Gavin Newsom in San Francisco and you want to have, Juan, the illegal immigrant from Colombia, come up and vote in your municipal elections, God, whatever. Sorry for that, but not for president. And it ought to be tight as a drum, airtight. Vacuum Daisy seal a meal airtight. Oh, wait, they don't make seal. Daisy doesn't make that anymore, do they?
No, they only use that for trash at Taylor Swift's wedding.
I love those vacuum seal a meal things, man. I've gotten into a little bit of an obsession with that. We'll cook up. Well, if I'm going to cook something or smoke a bunch of ribs and it's only two of us eating, and I take it, I put it in the seal maker. Vacuum packet stays for weeks, months in the refrigerator. It's great. In the freezer, not the refrigerator. It's a great, great thing. I love those things. Haven't ever priced out, though, whether it be cheaper to just buy new stuff and bake it by the time you buy all of the bags. I don't know.
Find it in the back of the freezer 2 years later.
Do you all use that out there? Let me know. 573-874-9390. Do you use the vacuum seal meal thing, or is it something you buy on the infomercial and then you throw away? It ends up in the basement. Let me know. 573-874-9390. Leftovers when we come back.
It's Wake Up.
it was the Nixa area. But did you see this? Christian County deputies and Nixa police responded to reports of gunshots in a neighborhood. It turned out it wasn't gunshots, it was fireworks. But in their pursuit of trying to figure out where these shots were coming from, they encountered a man who was fleeing on foot, and they started to chase him, I guess. And he ran into a stranger's home trying to evade the police. They finally got him and found out he was here illegally, and now ICE has a detainer on him.
Yay.
So
good.
Kind of wild.
Good. Another one bites the dust. All right, good. We have Ann on the phone. Ann has a thought. Ann, welcome into Wake Up Missouri. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. The seal meal thing, I only use it hunting season, and then it goes away.
Yeah, but it does prevent freezer burn, no? I mean, I think it does. Yeah.
It's excellent for that.
The problem is if you have anything that's a little bit moist, a very effective vacuum packer will tend to suck the juice into the vacuum packing device. So you either have to get it sort of firmed in the freezer for a little while, or put a little bit of Scott towel, paper towel, right in between the sucking device.
I go through a lot of paper towels.
I can tell you're a veteran seal-a-mealer. I can tell. That's good.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Ann. Thanks for endorsing that. That's good. I have no financial interest in that enterprise, ladies and gentlemen. I have none. I just like that. I love when it all just sucks in there good, and I can label it and go, Randy's Smoked Ribs, July 4th. And then later on, when August or September comes, and I don't have time to smoke ribs, I pull them out, and there they go, smoked ribs. There you go. Leftovers. Stephanie's giving me the eye roll emoji here.
I don't want to tattle on myself, but yes, my parents are like you and watch too much QVC or get on Temu, and they gifted me one time, and I'm pretty sure I re-gifted it because who has time for that?
You can buy it. You can buy the exclusive membership club.
Nope, we're eating it that week, or it's going in the trash.
Well, there's always it only takes a couple minutes. It's not that much time. After all, John, what do you have?
I had one of those once, and it broke, but in the interim couple of years, we sealed up a bunch of deer meat with it.
Yeah, it's good.
And it's still kind of got freezer burn.
I like to put some jerky in there and take it with me into the woods. Not too long before hunting season. Oh, baby. We're only about, 2 months away. Yeah.
Update on Task Force 1, Mid-Missouri-based Task Force 1 with folks from all over the state. Initially made it down Friday to San Antonio, Texas. Now they've been deployed further south, looks like halfway between San Antonio and Corpus, down there watching for a river that potentially could top its banks, a Nueces River down there. So that's what we're hearing from the Task Force 1 folks. They're on standby.
Well, thanks for that update. We didn't get a chance to talk to them about it the other day, but I wonder if do they exchange in and out so that someone's not deployed down there for weeks and weeks and weeks on end, or are they out there or down there for weeks on end?
No, yeah, they have a fixed number of days anybody can serve on a disaster scene, and then they rotate in another team.
Well, there's no doubt that has to absolutely just decimate your resilience when you're dealing with that after a while. Well, we ran out of time for Drake to give us a recap of the World Cup final that he didn't watch.
It was the Open. Ryan Clark won. That's all you need to know.
Ryan Clark or Fox?
Ryan Fox, my bad.
All right, that'll do it for this edition of Wake Up Missouri. Listen to the podcast later if you missed some of it. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.